If we're not careful, the lies of anxiety can isolate us and make us feel like we're all alone. Hello, friend. My name's Zach, and if you're new here, I'm an anxiety management coach. Today, we're going to discuss 6 lies of anxiety. If we're not careful and fall for these lies, any one of them, it can lead us into isolation and unfortunately, eventually depression. Let's cover these lies so that you know it's something you can overcome. The first lie is that no one will understand. Here's the thing, my friend. To be anxious is to be human. Every person on the planet has anxiety, whether they know it or not. Many don't. But everyone's anxious. You might have a lot of anxiety. You might have a little bit of anxiety. But there's others that struggle with it just like you. And if you're having trouble finding someone in your life that can identify anxiety and knows that they're anxious so that you feel like you're not the only one, I struggle with anxiety, so you at least know one. You're not alone. Others will understand. But a lot don't want to talk about it is the thing. Number 2, my life will always be like this. If you're struggling with anxiety a lot, it can convince you that there's no hope, that you're always going to have anxiety to the degree that you do. In fact, I'm just an anxious person, something that you might run with. We can manage our anxiety. We can decrease its effects on our life. The removal of anxiety is something that's not going to happen. It's hardwired into us. It actually serves a good purpose. It just gets a little rogue sometimes, right? But life will not always be like this. In fact, if you can get good at these tools that we talk about on this channel, that you can get 10% better in managing your anxiety. And let me just say, that might not sound like a lot, but 10% better can be life-changing. It will not always be this way. Number 3, everyone is focused on my flaws. Anxiety convinces us that there's like a spotlight on our flaws. Like we're getting carted out to the world and they can see everything we're self-conscious about or the thing we just did that's embarrassing to us. And everyone's going to remember forever. Here's the secret that might not be too secret for you. Is we're all self-focused. We're all worried about our flaws. We all get into this self-conscious place. In fact, I was in a meeting the other night, highly self-conscious. And I was talking to a friend afterwards just going, man, I was so embarrassed that I forgot to say this and I didn't do this. And they were like, oh, I didn't even notice, right? That happens to us more than we realize. Everyone's focused on themselves and worried about that. And like, that's good. Like, we're in charge of ourselves. But they're too busy with that to fixate on your flaws. It's in our brain. It's not real. Number 4, I'm going crazy. Anxiety can make us feel crazy. It can make us feel crazy because in the moments of anxiety, our brain is not working. We're anxious. We have flipped our lid. Have you ever seen someone super reactive? Have you ever been super reactive yourself? You're not crazy, but it can feel that way in that moment. Like, I think the studies say that we use less than 5% of our brain when we're in an anxious state. That might appear very crazy, but you aren't. If anxiety is trying to convince you that you're broken and flawed mentally, you're not. You're human, and we all get anxiety. Number 5, my self-worth must be earned. Man, we can fall into this trap a lot. As a Christian, I believe my self-worth is not in what I do, it's in who God says I am. And this is very important for my life. On this point, though, your self-worth must not be earned, because when we operate as if we can earn self-worth, here's what'll happen. You will overwork to such an extent that anxiety will just chew you up and spit you out. Because if it must be earned, we're going to fill our schedules so tight with all this different activity because we're earning something. So the very lack of margin in our life will make us anxious. Also, any mistakes we make, any flaw that happens, we're going to get so worked up with that and anxious with it. You cannot operate as if your self-worth has to be earned. You must operate in freedom. And freedom only happens when we know you have self-worth because you're a human, because of who you are. You have worth and value. It is not something to be earned. Number 6, I am weak. We all handle anxiety differently. Some of us can cry and get emotional. Some can get angry and aggressive. Some can just shut down and look stone-faced. And when we view other interactions and we're trying to interpret them, sometimes we can feel like we're weak. Like, oh, I wish I was strong like that person. But you're not weak. You're a human who gets anxious sometimes. In fact, thinking you're weak can get you stuck. Because oftentimes we determine strength as something that's actually not strength. Like admitting that you have anxiety is strength. Showing up when you don't want to, strength. Getting counseling, strength. These are actually strong moves, not weak moves. But we have a skewed perspective of what strength is. That we like have this alpha male strength thing. I mean, I loved cowboy movies growing up. And so like my envision of strength is I don't need anyone. And I got leather face, cowboy hat, and I'm driving the cattle all by myself. And I'm going to take on all the criminals. I'm going to save the damsel in distress. This is not strength. That is Hollywood. Strength is needing others and telling them you need them. Strength is getting help when you need help. That's what true strength is. I hope that this video helped you to overcome the lies that get us trapped in anxiety and isolated from others. Don't fall for the lie. It'll keep you trapped and take more from you than you could ever imagine.